right. Well, we went to the south part of Spain. That means two friends and myself. We were there in October for about 10 days. And my whole story goes on Andalusia, that's here, and Murcia. And I'll give you a small introduction into Spain first. There are 17 regions all over the country, and each of those has provinces. So Andalusia and Murcia are regions. Andalusia has lots of provinces, as you can see here, Granada, Linares, and etc. Only Murcia is only just one province also, and that's the capital is Murcia. And so, but it's quite small. And so this is the region that we visited in October. Now the first part. The first part, I will talk a little bit about Andalusia and Murcia and the finds we did there. And then I have a lot of stuff from Spain also from exchanges. And that'll be part two, you can say, of this story. So all minerals are in my own collection, and as usual, I made the photos, etc. And something about Andalusia. There are 8 provinces. We visited Almeria, this on the right side, and we took a small sidestep to Granada, but most of the finds are from Almeria. And you see that here in the photo, in the picture, it's Andalusia with a C, and I use an S. Because nobody is consistent with that, so you can use an S or a C, whatever you like. And as far as I could find, there was no official spelling. Then we visited in Almeria. So in Andalusia, we visited 6 different locations. Only 2 of them were mines, actually. Cerrado mines and Las Cocotas mine, and the other 4 are sort of like you can name it natural outcrops, and without local collectors you won't find the places, let alone any minerals. And I had the GPS location, the GPS coordinates of all places. But then again, you can just miss the right spot on 10 meters or so. So without local guides, don't try it because you won't get anywhere. Well, the first one, Ada Guainos Bajos, that's a field. It's a natural outcrop. It's a field of alpine type veins in schist. And there are some 18 species of minerals found, and they were discovered during the construction of the adjacent freeway. The 2 guys on the right are my Dutch companions, and the man with the orange shirt and the big smile is our local friend and guide Paco. And you see, this is really in the middle of nowhere. So Paco guided us there, but without him we would never have gotten there anyway. I can actually show you just 1 species that I found there. We found more species. We found, but this is the only one, let's say, large enough to make a visible picture of this annotates. Besides that, we found very small crystals of brochite, of course, synchrosite CE, monazite CE, all on an albite matrix with lots of clinochlor and muscovite distraction. I'm still working on the stuff, so maybe I hope that I can still find some things that are large enough to make photos, but so far this is the only one. Then we went to Huercal Overa, the Cerrado mines. They are old copper and cobalt mines. They were operated in ancient times by the Phoenicians and later by the Romans. And there are English owners, and they operated again at the turn of the 20th century. But nowadays, everything is abandoned. And there are two species that often go together, and they are the most wanted there. Both are copper minerals. The blue crystals are bobtainite, and the greenish hairs are confirmed parnellite. You would swear that it's malachite, but it's really parnellite. Bobtainite is so rare that it's only known from 3 different places. Besides here, there's a mine in Greece, in Larion, and the type locality, Martin, is the New Cliff Hill Quarry in England, in Leicestershire. And so there are only 3 places in the world where this bobtainite is found.
Somewhere I've not been to.
Sorry?
I've never been to that place. No, it's not one of the places I've ever seen. So I have stuff from it, but never been.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's in Leicestershire somewhere. One of the best finds there. This is erythrite. There comes another erythrite later on here. But this speaks for itself, of course. The color, the crystals, nobody will confuse that with something else. And the little green balls are confirmed Konig-calcite. When one says that everything that I showed you is confirmed, except there are just a few exceptions, I'll tell you that when we come to it, but most of the things are analyzed by the University of Granada or the University of Barcelona. And our companions are people who, our local friends, I mean, were of our collectors who are in close contact with these universities. Because everything new that they find, they let it be analyzed in one of these universities. So we can really trust that the namings of all the crystals here are correct. Here's another erythrite. We also found dark green to brown cobalt-bearing olivenite, but so far, but I'm still working, as I said, on stuff. They're too small to make a decent picture, but I found them, I did. So dark brown cobalt-bearing olivenite. Then Nigar. Nigar is a village. And Agua Amarga is a sort of ditch in the middle of nowhere. Just here on the left, upper left photo here, you see this hole. And that's the only place where you can find the things that you want. That day we had no guide, so only the precise instructions from one of them. But it took us, of course, hours to find the one and only right spot. And it's in the ditch here. The photo is made from the footpath, so you have a fair chance that you just pass it without even seeing it. The location is a spot for rare zeolites, and as I said, everything is investigated and identified. In this case, at the University of Granada. I have the resulting article on it in Spanish, but if somebody would like to have it, just let me know. I can mail it. Because the stuff that you find there is quite unusual. We found 4 species, 4 different, and happily they are the most valuable ones also. And this is the first one, Faurisite Na. The type locality for this mineral are the Limberg quarries in Germany. It's a few hundred kilometers from here. And I have some from there too, but the quality here is much better in terms of sharpness and transparency. And what you see here actually is, of course, it's an octahedron, but a lot of small ones that's sitting on one larger. And this is just a single crystal. And on the next slide, you see a group. And these are the things that you look for. You see that it's all colorless, very shiny on a white background, so they are quite hard to detect. The black dots are background, so they're not part of the crystals themselves. Crystals themselves are really glassy, completely clear and transparent, and very nice to find. But then we get another one, fluorite. You know that I told that some time ago, I think. The fluorite is closely related to philipsite. And so the visual distinction lies in the crystal shape. So here the comparison of the crystal drawings is essential. But you see that because they're flat, pointy, etc. And also this one is confirmed, so there's no doubt about it. If you would like to do your own ID, or your own recognition, then you should compare the crystal shapes, different crystal shapes of fluorite and philipsite. The most wanted here is paulingite. K. Paulingite is in itself is quite rare zeolite. And it's, as far as I know, it's just known from a few different places in the world. The type locality is somewhere in Czechia, I believe. And in Dutch you find some in Oregon. But this is the only place in Spain where these are found. And it's analyzed by EDX and Raman, so there's no doubt about it. And this is the most wanted from there and the most rare also. And I have another one. It's this here. On the right here is sulfurizide, so they occur often together. And here, these polyguys almost always grow in this spot, of course. Almost always grow in sort of spherical array, and you can see the crystal faces are exactly as they should be in regard to the drawing. So also here, they are analyzed, but then again, without analysis, these would be recognizable if you would know what you're looking for. Then, of course, the fourth species is philipsite. Everything here is philipsite K. Well, this is I think not too complicated to recognize, because this is the form of philipsite that you see in many places. But the next one is much harder. And here we see a question mark. There's still some confusion about this one going on. We found lots and lots and lots of these tiny spheres. According to Jose Ignacio, our local guide, and he's the one who did all the research together at the university. Philipsite K is the most plausible, but so far it's not 100% conclusive. So there is still ongoing research on this. I think I have a box full of it, so I'll let it also be in my next batch. It will also go to Joy de Soor to do some research. It should be philipsite K, but that's not 100% sure. And then I'll show you one that I hadn't ever seen before. Yellow philipsite K. I never saw it. And I don't think there's many people who did see it, but it's really analyzed as philipsite K. And I didn't find this myself. It was a present from Jose Ignacio, our friend there. But this is, for me, this is so strange. I've never seen anything else than colorless philipsite, let alone in a shape like this, which is utterly not recognizable as such. But it's analyzed as being philipsite K. Then one of the more difficult places, Barranco. This place is called Barranco Celejo. Celejo is just the name of the region, but Barranco is the Spanish word for a dry riverbed, and so we had to walk a while through it. But not only that, the last 100 meters was straight up on a very steep hill with all kinds of loose rubble. And that's a lot of fun in itself, I can tell you that. In the area, there were, I would say, a lot of small unnamed mines. what you find is always materials from abandoned dumps. And in the area are some 30 different minerals found, mostly copper, lead, and zinc based. And everything is analyzed some 20 years ago at the University of Barcelona. The man on the right is here on the photo, and the lower right is Jose Ignacio, Spanish friend. Well, to start with this one, this is my own ID. I'm not 100% sure about it. My own observation and interpretation is that it's andesite because of the crystal structure, the high glassy luster, as well as the accompanying cerussite on the next slide. But if there are better ideas, I'm always listening. But I'm almost sure that it's andesite. And it was in the same rock piece as this one. This is cerussite, there's no doubt about it. It was in the direct vicinity of the supposed andesite in the same specimen. And cerussite is very abundant, at that location was very abundant. Andesite was, let's say, somewhat more not so widespread, but cerussite was almost every rock piece. And the same goes for hemimorphite, this one. It's actually quite abundant and always in these clear crystal groups. And well, they look good. I have a lot of them, and also a lot for exchange. If somebody would like to do that, I have a lot of stuff for exchange purposes. Now comes the interesting stuff. This blue-green stuff is Herbert Smithite. It's one of the two most wanted here. It's fully analyzed again. It's hard to photograph because they are mostly complex, intertwined with all kinds of light reflections. And the togetherness, the paragenesis with hemimorphite is not strange because both are zinc minerals. This is quite abundant, but this is quite a large group. That was the best find of them all. But also I have some loose crystals from it also. This one is just for fun, actually, just for the nice contrast. Black goethite spheres with yellow jarosite, also iron, of course, on quartz crystals. This contrast is yeah, I like it because you can make a very nice photo of it. 5 millimeters is quite large, but this is there was a piece of what, let's say 7 or 8 centimeters, which was full. Only this actually. The other most wanted is paratacamite. This is really textbook quality. It's very small though. You can see the total field of view is not even half millimeters. So this thing is very, very small. But the crystal drawing is clear, yeah, what is, I can say it again, but this is also fully analyzed. There's no doubt about it. And this is one of the most wanted things and most of the most beautiful things I found here. This is a beauty in itself. Rosacite, of course, is quite common. This one is completely embedded in quartz. And Jose Ignacio was again the one who found it, and he immediately gave it to me, which is the best habitat I can think of. It's very fine quality rosacite, well protected, and it's large too, almost 4 millimeters. And you see the individual needles are, let's say, equally scattered on the surface. And I think this is a nice thing for the eye. Then this one may look as like aragonite or smithsonite or something, but actually it's analyzed phosphorhydrophane. And well, the needles are not easily recognizable as such. But I have some phosphoryphane from Greece also, which exactly looks the same. But you can never assume that it is that because before it's completely analyzed, because of course aragonite and smithsonite are much more common. But this one is what the name says. This is my own recognition, smithsonite, I guess. It occurs there, and this is typical how it looks in Greece also. So I think I may assume that this is really smithsonite. But, okay, it's an interpretation. Then we have willemite. Willemite is very abundant in a place in Portugal. And there the crystals are much bigger, but they're exactly the same as these here. And the willemite are these little, small, colorless prisms, the things like here. On a red background, I don't know what that is, but these are the willemites, and I have just one specimen that's filled with it, and then they're all just as small as this one. But there's no doubt about the ID. Then a few unknowns. Yeah, well, this goes to Joy the Soul, of course, in my next batch. And I can't even see if these things are spheres or hollow bulbs or whatever. And I showed it to the local experts, and they hadn't ever seen it before also. So this might be a surprise, maybe. And the same goes for the next. There's also unknown, and Jose Ignacio didn't know what it was either. Hinsdalite is a possibility because that occurs there. This could be Hinsdalite, but also this one will be further examined officially. Then Los Escudos is a very small village of just 2 streets on the upper left, with one restaurant which was fantastic. So that's a big advantage. But the mineral location is sort of a permanent road cut in the main road, a few kilometers from the village. It's just one small road cut of some 40 meters long, among a lot of other road cuts without any mineralization. So finding it by yourself is quite a challenge. And there are actually 2 main mineral species. Both are zeolites, and the rock is amphibolic andesite breccia. Amphibolic andesite breccia. And those 2 zeolites occur almost always together. And we found them both in very large quantities. So if somebody wants to have some of it, just let me know. Here we go. This is the first one. Ferrierite Mg. And you know there are also ferrierite K and Na, as you can see in the general formula. But this here, everything here is ferrierite Mg, and which in general also is the most abundant worldwide. There is, to be complete, there is a 4th variety of ferrierite also, that's ferrierite NH4 ammonium, but that is utterly rare. And this yellow stuff here, these fluffy things, is all ferrierite Mg. And the other zeolite, you can see the blocky things, its companion, is clinoctilolite Ca, calcium. And there are also K and Na, of course, but this is always clinoctilolite calcium Ca variety. All are colorless, blocky, and almost all are well developed, very well developed. And in respectable sizes of a few millimeters. And this is just one. I have a bucket full of these things. So if you want some, just let me know. These are the two only things that are found in Los Escuelos. Then the last one of the 6 locations where we were. Las Cocotas means coconuts. There's an old mine, only 100 meters where we parked the car in the middle of some farmer field. It's an old copper mine, but we had to climb up 100 meters vertical. There are 62 different minerals according to Mindet. Lots of those are common, of course, but we found some rarities too. Those are the ones that I will show you. And the first one there is, well, this is quite common, Konichalsite, quite abundant here, typical green spherical habit as always, and it's always the same. Of course, it can be confused with some other green spheres, but this is recognized, analyzed Konichalsite. That's quite abundant, but this one is surely not. This is gold halite, and it's not malachite, no bauxite. It's analyzed as the copper, zinc, arsenate, gold halite. I couldn't find any crystal drawing for some reason, but the distinguishing feature, besides the color and the glassy look, is the twisted nature of the platy crystals. You see them here a bit bended, and that's let's say the recognizable feature of gold halite, and it's very rare. The next one is also from there, same. This is a nice bow tie, and it's also gold halite. The bluish stuff, by the way, is Clinicola. And yeah, this is really, let's say, quite rare stuff. And the second rarity is Phillips bornite, and it's also analyzed, of course. The individual crystals are very small, and without Jose Ignacio, I would probably have completely overlooked it. He was the one who picked this one up and handed it to me. And, yeah, they are exactly according to the crystal drawing. Phillips bornite should not be confused with Phillips bergite, but some people did. And Phillips bornite is also an arsenate, just like the Konichalsite and the gold halite here. But it's not copper, it's lead aluminum. But this is, the crystals are very small. The field of view is 3 millimeters. So this is quite small stuff. I think I wouldn't have seen it if we would have discovered. That's so much for Andalusia. Now we go east to Murcia. And in Murcia we visited 2 locations. One of them are the Santa Elisa smelter slags on the beach of Mazaron. That's here in the middle. But I can show you nothing about that because I haven't processed it by now so far. But the 2 most interesting species that we found there are bastolite, which is easily confused with aragonite, but there it's bastolite, and pentfieldite. Pentfieldite are always, let's say, 6-sided white columns, quite easily recognizable. I saw a few of them in the meantime, but didn't have a chance to make any photos, so we'll have to wait. But we also went to the La Aljora quarries, and they are far more interesting. And I'll show you a lot of beauties from there. First about the quarries themselves. Here we had 2 other companions, 2 other local guides whom I knew already over the internet, just like I know all of you. The basic rock at La Aljora is lamproite, and lamproite is a potassium-rich volcanic rock. It's quite light in weight, but very tough to break. And the quarries, as our friends told us, were already exploited for road material by the Romans, and nowadays they are no longer active. They are accessible to everyone, and they are one of the most richest micromineral locations that I've ever seen, ever been to. And we found almost everything that we were looking for. And the first one is a rarity to start with, azoproite. It's a rare borat, BO3 here, down here. Borat, and I hope that's good English. And it's just known from 4 locations worldwide, but here it's really abundant. It looks awfully similar to pseudobrochite that is just as abundant here. So they are very hard to distinguish visually, but we learned a trick from our guides, and there are clearly observable color differences in the host rock. And if the host rock is gray, then it's azoproite, and if the host rock is brown, then it's pseudobrochite. And I don't think that goes in 100% of the cases, but that's quite an easy feature that you can use. At the bottom, by the way, you see a phlogopite crystal down here. But azoproite is worldwide very rare, and here it's quite abundant, so I have a lot of them. Then the local collectors call this one ferro pseudobrochite. There's a slight difference with the regular pseudobrochite in that the Fe2+, iron 2+, is dominant, and the coloration tends to be more brownish and more shiny. And it should be pointed out, however, that the naming ferro pseudobrochite is not validated by the EMA. EMA just thinks of it just names this only pseudobrochite, but the Spanish collectors name it ferro pseudobrochite, and there is also a page on Lindart that goes to ferro pseudobrochite. So I don't know what the reason is, but it's not validated officially. This is another one of these things. As you can see, there are real visual differences with what I would call regular pseudobrochite. More rounded, it's more shiny, it's brownish instead of blackish. Some differences. And clearly, therefore, apparently that's caused by the dominant iron. Hematite is not too common here, but if you find it, then you find neat crystals like this one. This is, of course, a common mineral, but here it's it's not so very abundant. Opal, like this, is also not very abundant, very small, but in fine quality. And, I was told that this, without any doubt, is opal. Phlogopite, you just saw one 2 slides ago. It's light brown. There's also phlogopite present, which is pretty much darker, but I don't think that visual distinction is anywhere possible. But because of the light coloring, this should be just phlogopite and not phlogopite. But who can tell? I don't know. This is the most spectacular, I think. You find them in large quantities, and at the first time I saw this stuff, so a few years ago, I thought it could be calcite, but it's not. It's analyzed as trillimite, and spherical trillimite on enstatite, and they are always growing upon each other. And I found dozens of these, and we still have a number of kilos to process. So I'll probably have lots and lots of them. Then we have another wanted species, that's workite. Just as the azoproite, it's borate. But in the cores, it's just only present in a specific spot of a few meters. that we would never have found without our guides. Misidentification is impossible. The red-brown color, the long banded crystals, it's warwickite. And worldwide, it's not too rare. There are a lot of places where it occurs. And this is what you normally find. And there's everything in one picture. All these things grow together. So almost every piece of rock contains all of them. So this is warwickite, this is the pseudobrookite, this is trillimite, and here you see phlogopite. 4 different minerals in one show, so to speak. And from these I still have a whole box. So, and the last one here is U1 fluorite, and together with hematite, by the way. And they are always found as spiky orange crystals. And here they are not very abundant. They are much more abundant in a few other quarries in Spain. It's that same region that we didn't finish, that we didn't visit. But here it's not too abundant. Right. Well, then and I go a little bit faster now. South of Spain from exchanges, and we have from different locations, but everything is from Andalusia or Murcia in alphabetical order, and I'll show you some nice things that I have in my collection. And it is all exchanged with, I would say, Spanish collectors. So I hope they know what they're talking about. To start with a very common one, arsenopyrite is from a quarry with talc-bearing gneiss, and that contains lots of pyrite and arsenopyrite. And this is typical arsenopyrite. Then something I never heard of before, aureacusite is it's part of an exchange, as I said, and I just have one of it. One of them, it's the yellow stuff is aureacusite. I had never heard of it, and it's very small, so it's not easy to make a decent photo. But just because it's so rare, and I wanted to include it here. Aureacusite, whatever that is. Barite speaks for itself, I think, and these are crystal clear, of course, and nice crystals. Very small, by the way. Then brochantite from the Mina Golosina. Mina Golosina is an old iron and silver mine with 100 different mineral species. And this, I think this is the nice quality brochantite. Chrysocolla, not as usual opaque, but transparent partly. And then partly embeds, it bears partly embedded azurite, I would say. And that's a typical occurrence in this mine, the Mina Approvechada. I haven't been there, but okay. This is visually unrecognizable, but it's analyzed to be clina atacamite, as opposed to paratacamite, of course. This different species with different color, different crystal structure, etc. But I would never have recognized it as such. Conolite from the Mina Casualidad, which is an inactive copper silver mine with also 100 mineral species listed. And this is it's quite rich piece of conolite. Conolite is this is quite shiny for conolite. It could easily be confused with cornubite, but that doesn't occur here. Or with conochalcite, that does occur, but it's that is not that shiny. This seems to be actually conolite, which is supported by the photos on MinDOT of both species, and I mean conochalcite and conolite, from this location where you can see the difference between the two. And this shiny stuff is apparently is conolite. This is a nice one. Kronstadtite. It's unmistakable in comparison with the drawing. It's quite abundant, especially in this location. And that's an old iron mine, but nowadays that is flooded, so forget it. And the most interesting feature in my eyes is the color shifts within the individual crystals. And these are textbook. Ilya speaks for itself. I think this comes from a smelter slag locality. And the white stuff is lanarkite. And yeah, well, the funny thing of this is very good, recognizable, and upright standing Ilya. Normally they find them in small cavities crisscross to each other. But this is a nice array of it. Ilyite. This one may count as one of my treasured beauties. You saw one before. The sparse spheres of conic calcite between the high quality erythrites make this very attractive in my view. And it's from another place like the first one. La Encontrada mine is an old mine with many copper and cobalt mineralizations in dolomite. It's in Granada, so it's another province. This is an iron sulfide called fibroferrite, and the name of which may speak for itself. This is fibrous iron from the Mina Golosina, once again. And fibroferrite. And if there is fibroferrite, there's, no, that comes right. First, this one, indicolite. Indicolite, as you know, is blue albaite or tourmaline variety. It's a bit of an unexpected surprise, in the color of which I have enhanced a bit to make the crystals better visible, and in reality they are much lighter blue. And it took me indeed quite some effort, despite the label, to even detect these things. And some tourmaline varieties, like rubellite, for instance, can be found in the lithium-bearing pegmatite veins along the Rio Padron. That's a small river in the neighborhood of Malaga. And this is really indicolite as blue albaite. Ludlokite, as it occurs in many slag localities. I have some from the Greek locations too. Brown, orange, fine needles, and most often spherical arrays. And yeah, well, quite rich when you see them. Olivenite as we wanted, from Mina Prevision. It looks a bit different than what we are used to in the UK or in Clara, but it's, you see by the end faces that it's unmistakably olivenite. Then Parnoite is typical insofar that they almost always exist or contain platy crystals that are arranged as packed piles. And that's typical for Parnoite. It's exactly the same as you find them in Clara, also in Germany. I have some from there, and they look exactly the same. And this comes from the Maria Josefa mine, Woodall Quillard. And there's one thing I would love to lay my hands on, but I never have seen it before yet in real life. I mean, that's a Woodall Quillardite. And it's fabulous crystals. But until now, I didn't manage to get one of those. Woodall Quillardite, it's called. When there is fibroferrite that you saw just a moment ago, then there's almost always also siderum and natrite. Both are iron sulfides, so this one comes from the same location as the fibroferrite. And it's always yellow and mostly bulky. This is familiar, I know, I presume, spanglite in its typical habit. hexagonal blue crystals, often with the color hue variations along the edges. Well, I would say that confusion is futile. This is one of the nicest things I have. Special time garnet in one of the more complex habits, as you can see in the drawing. I have this already for a long time, and yeah, it's very shiny and very complex growth. Then we came to vanillite as sharp hexagonal crystals from a long abandoned mine, Los Tonales, with a few concealed entrances in the middle of a rural area with no roads. So if you want to go there, be my guest. I don't think you ever find it, but it comes from there. And this is fine quality vanillite. And some other vanillite in another shape, just this one, from another mine and another habit. San Eulogio is a historical mining area that was active around the middle of the 19th century. Mined lead, zinc, and antimony, and that's where this one comes from. And this is quite recent. I got this quite recently in exchange. So then something I would never have recognized: Walkildelite, Fe. And so it's another iron mineral from the same mina golosina. But I would never have recognized for what it is. It's closely related to and very much looking like siderite, which I know from Greece a lot. And if somebody would have said that this is siderite, I would have immediately believed that. But this is apparently analyzed to be Walkildelite. And the name with 6 L's in it comes from the Wallkill Dell. That's a valley in New Jersey, in the US. Then, almost at the end, wolfenite in its typical habits from one of the mines around Bena Hadux. That's, let's say, 10 or 15 kilometers north of Almeria, where we slept in a hotel. The wolfenites here are mostly colorless to pale yellow, and mostly in the form of groups of loose octahedrons. So, and this photo is one of the specimen photos on the front page of this wolfenite of Bena Hadux in Inlet, because of the, let's say, loose, very well distinguishable crystals. Euconite is actually hexagonal, but most often it forms shiny bulbs like this. And Ramonete prospect is a small prospect in a ravine along a road, that you will never find by yourself. This should be euconite. And that's not your everyday mineral. And then I think the last one. Zedenekite. This is blue bulb material. It looks like lavendulan or limenskiite, but it's actually zedenekite. And limenskiite is just an analogon of lavendulan with less water in it. But zedenekite is the lead analogon of lavendulan. And you can also see some little hexagonal colorless platelets in this photo. And those are caracolite. I had this one from Jose Ignacio, one of the guys, and who had this analyzed also. So in this case, I may really trust the label. And that's it for today. No, fine an hour. Okay.
Very good, Henk.
It was fun as always.
Very good.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, wow.
Nice specimens. Nice photographs.
Most, just not about the photographs, but the finds. The finds were, most unusual. We found a lot of rarities that those locations are famous for, are known for, and we were very happy to find them almost all. Okay, first make photo. But the finds were, in my view, very much rewarding 10 days that we were there.
Lots of things I've not seen before in there tonight.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
And clear photos of them as well.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what I always do? I always let them be accompanied by crystal drawings. On this level, the only thing you can do visually is compare it with crystal drawings. Atlas has them all, except just a few. And I always use those things every day. And that gives you the training to recognize things far more easily for yourself, because you do it every day, but you do it very, very often, and always in the same manner. That is, I have a specimen, I know where it comes from. If you don't know where it comes from, you forget it. I know where it comes from, and then I look at the list, and then from the list go to crystal drawings, and that does the trick quite often. And you get more and more experience, of course. So I just hope that everything what I say is correct.
Very good.
Any questions for Henk?
I have one, Henk.
Yeah.
You said you didn't know if it was that zeolite. You didn't know if it was actually philipsite.
The orange one.
You didn't know if it actually was philipsite.
No, I know the orange one is philipsite. Yeah, but the small.
Yeah, but then the rounded ones.
Yeah, the group of very small, bit greenish, green-grayish. That was not 100% sure. There's still research is still going on because it's inconclusive until now.
And does Thompsonite come? Is Thompsonite found there?
Sorry?
Is Thompsonite found there?
No, not that I know.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Then I'm sure you're right with the philipsite.
Yeah, I hope so. And to start with, I just want to say that. I just repeat what our local guides say there.
Yeah.
And he said to me, I think this very probably it is philipsite, but the research is still not 100% conclusive. So we have to go further.
That's
I
right.
have a box full of those things. So I'll send one to Joy. And in the meantime, I have gathered about 20-25 specimens that I want him to analyze. So one of these days this goes away, and hopefully
very nice.
I'll get it.
Very good. Very good.
But until now, they're still questioning it, doubting it at the University of Granada. So.
Yeah.
By the way, I have a Spanish article on this location with all these interesting zeolites, in Spanish, of course. But if somebody wants it, just send me an email and I'll send it to you. Okay.
All right.
Steve, do you have all the email addresses of everyone?
I'd have to go looking probably, but
because I can send you the thing and then you send it through.
Yep, all right. I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
Nope. All right. I'll see you all in 4 weeks' time.
See you in April. Yeah.
Well done.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Henk.
Good
Thanks,
talk.
guys.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, Hank.
You.
Very good.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Hank.
Yep.
Thanks, Hank. Good talk.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Good talk. Good.